suddenly articulate with 1,000 tongues to lift one cry. Then from north to south and east to west, we'd hear Christ be magnified. And were the whole earth echoing his imminence, his name would burst from sea and sky. From rivers to the mountain tops, we'd hear Christ be magnified.
Well, good morning, Lufkin Central and online worship community. Jason Hollinger, the campus and community minister here. And for our time in Jesus and Coffee this morning, we are in 2 Samuel chapter 7, looking at the theme of promise. David has become king and makes this statement that says, here I am in this palace, in this house, in the ark of the covenant, everything that speaks to relationship between God and his people and presence that has no place. And David desires to build a house for the Lord. And initially, he thinks this is what he's going to do, but what God does through the prophet Nathan, and David's going to have some other interactions with Nathan later in his life, but through this moment, God speaks to Nathan, and Nathan gives David this message that yes, someday this promise will be fulfilled, but it will be for the house of David, not directly for you. Your son will follow after you as king and will build this house. But make no mistake, that promise is there. That promise comes from a promise making and a promise keeping God. It is a covenant. It's a covenant very similar to Abraham. God makes this covenant with Abraham, to you and your offspring. And for David, it's this promises to you and for your offspring, for those to follow after you through your house. And, we learn even more that the king will forever sit on the throne, your throne, David. And from you, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, which leads us all the way to Jesus. This promise that God made. As I think about this in light of where I want us to close this morning, oftentimes, I had a conversation yesterday with a homeless man that I met him for the first time, and we talked about the story that God is telling for us and the story that we tell through our responses to him. And he said, man, I can't even begin to imagine what story he's trying to tell. I wish I could see it. And as I prayed over him, yes, I prayed for, some clarity, help it to become obvious, but ultimately, God to help him tell the story that has been fashioned for him, that has been purposed for him. And that's the same that goes for all of us. To tell that story that God desires to be lived out through our lives. A story that leads others to know of who God is and what God desires to do for them. So that's my challenge to you today. Everybody's telling a story. What story are you telling? Who are the main characters in your story? And ultimately, does your story lead others to know who God is? Can't wait to hear and see how it goes. Y'all have a great day. God bless.
Oh, Christ be magnified. Let his praise arise. Christ be magnified in me. Oh, Christ be magnified from the when every creature finds its inmost melody, and every human heart its native cry. Oh, then in word enraptured hymn of praise we'll sing, Christ be magnified. Oh, be lifted high in me. Oh, Christ be magnified. Let his praise arise. Christ be magnified in me. Oh, Christ be magnified from the altar of my life. Christ be magnified in me. I won't bow to idols. I'll stand strong and worship you. And if it puts me in the fire, I'll rejoice 'cause you're there too. I won't be formed by feelings. I hold fast to what is true. And if the cross brings transformation, then I'll be crucified with you. 'Cause death is just a doorway into resurrection.